Learning how to draw. Common misconceptions. Holy shit, that title is so boring. Alright, I'm going to point out a couple of things first that this video is setting out to do. Kind of like a blurb so you know what you're getting into. This video is aimed at people who don't really have any knowledge about art, but say have a passing interest in it, or just want to know more about it. It's not here to convince you that you should draw, just clear up a lot of misunderstandings. This is going to be one of those educational videos hidden under the sinister guise of entertainment. Ooh, scary. I'm also going to say right off the bat that I am still learning as an artist, and I will probably always be learning. I am not a regular industry professional, I draw mainly as a hobby, but I take it seriously nonetheless. We Gucci? Alright, roll the intro. Ooh, I thought this was gonna be a bit faster. Don't worry, this will come back later. When my blue face, ice pops, I'ma make a shoelace. So this video is a response to public views about art that kind of irk me, presented in a fun little commentary for all my 24 subscribers. Pretty sure 5 of those are my dad. Woo! Good job, Dad, supporting your son. With that being said, this video is broken down into 4 mini sections. Part 1. You need talent to learn how to draw.
I'm sorry, I'm allergic to bullshit.
One of the most common misconceptions about art is that it requires a special ingredient called talent that some people are just born with, and that's simply not true. Talent for most of us, including most of the successful people you admire, is something that is earned over the course of a lifetime. I would term real talent as something that the upper 1% of the field have, that pushes them into the top 0.01%. So they're already good at what they do, but it makes them even better. For the rest of us, getting to that 1% is just a matter of hard work. You don't need talent to get competence in that skill. If it wasn't obvious enough, I am a firm believer in being able to do anything, provided you put your mind to it. It's cliche, fight me. But that's the catch, isn't it? Putting your mind to it. In reality, most of us don't have an excuse like talent to hide behind when we don't have a skill we want. A much better reason than saying I don't have talent is that I don't have enough interest in this to get good at it. And that's fine. No one has time in their lives to master everything ever. We have jobs to do and mouths to feed, but don't hide behind excuses, especially if you have the leisure time to watch videos like this on the internet. You want to learn how to do something? Start today. Just do it! Get back in the box, Shire. But then I hear you say, why is it so hard to learn how to draw then? Part 2. Public education. It's stupid. Sorta. With the idea of talent out the way, this segues nicely into how those compulsory art classes when you were younger kind of screwed you over in your perception of how these skill sets work. Told you it would come back. Now this sounds a bit like a tangent, but stay with me. Since you were born, through your early years, you have been equipped with a key baseline skill that everything else academic rests upon. You are literate. You can read and write. When you were in class learning a mathematical formula or a scientific concept, the only gate stopping you is your mental understanding. You already possess the physical skill to write down the problem. It's just your brain that needs to make the hurdle, which is a challenge in and of itself. Enter art. Drawing, or insert any creative skill, is as much a mechanical skill as it is a mental one, except you don't have the years of practice with drawing as you do with writing. You can chart out all the different ways to fall off a bike and understand how it works perfectly, but it won't stop you falling on your face the first time you take those training wheels off. Your body, or in the case of art, your hands, don't know what they're doing the first time you pick up a pencil. It's not just the mental hurdle you need to get over. It's the physical one as well. That's what makes it feel so difficult. I would compare being better at drawing to when the sporty kid in class does better than you in football. But no one says it's because he's more talented. It's because, it's physically obvious why that guy's better than you. Drawing is a lot more subtle, but it's the same concept. People who are better at art probably had better proportion judgment or physical skills due to their own experiences. So how does our public education teach art, this combination of mechanical and mental prowess? Okay, let's see here. What are we gonna do today? Okay, take off your right shoe and draw it. Draw the shoe. Okay. Like, I get what they were going for with this. They're trying to teach you the foundations of how to observe. But we only ever did exercises like this once. There was no attempt at emphasizing daily practice. The brunt of what we actually did was artistic interpretation, and that ended up coming off like... So as you can see here, the artist is demonstrating considerable skill at fashioning deformed giant bananas in the renowned medium of MS Paint, an act that only serves to illustrate his crippling fear of the patriarchy. A comment from the artist, please. It's a penis. I don't blame them for focusing more on creativity and art history than actual mechanical skill, because the amount of practice you would be expected to do, it's not realistic for a school curriculum. Learning to draw is similar to learning to write, and that took you a couple years to get good at. Can you imagine for physical education having to be at a minimum fitness rating, getting detention or held back because you weren't able to lift an arbitrary amount of weight? General society doesn't equip you with the baseline skills for art, so it makes no sense to grade people on it. Hence, public art education has to adapt to that. It's not their fault, but as a result, it becomes infinitely harder to slap a mark on the work, especially when it's being analyzed from a purely creative perspective. I don't think art history is bad. It's actually very valuable. Knowing the origin of a craft gives insight into the medium, but if you take away a large amount of the practical element, it loses a lot of its context. Think learning to swim by studying the buoyancy and physics of the human body, but never actually going into the swimming pool. It also doesn't help that it's a lot more difficult to bullshit artistic skill in front of an audience when you compare it to science or math, because again, in those core subjects, it doesn't take mechanical skill to copy a textbook example. Think about the best teachers you had in school. They knew what they were doing and could demonstrate the skill they wanted you to learn in front of you. It makes me think the bar for being an art teacher must be a lot lower, since I can't recall a single time when they would show their knowledge of human anatomy, color theory, or shape language, rather than just regurgitate what they saw in a 10-minute video tutorial. So, to conclude, public education, at least in my personal experience, hasn't done people any favors in gaining artistic skill. Though it's mostly no fault of the curriculum, there are certainly ways it can be improved. Part 3. I need to spend X amount of years to get good. Whenever I attend a con or just draw in public, I get asked, so how long have you been drawing for? A lot. Usually, this question is perfectly benign, but I feel it's part of the public perception problem of talent. A part of them is equating X amount of time spent with Y amount of skill that you are displaying. If you are older than them, then you have the skill because of experience, and if you are younger, then they call you talented. I know this because I used to think that way, and I know I wasn't alone with that mentality. I've met people younger than me who were way better, and people who have been drawing for 20 years but could barely manage a figure. What matters is the amount of valuable practice or active learning that you are doing. That's what affects how good you are, not an arbitrary amount of time. Let's say you're trying to get fit, to become more physically healthy. The guy who's in the gym every day, moderately exercising for a year, is going to get better results than the guy who does like one push-up a month for 10 years. I'm just being an armchair psychologist, but again, I think it's a result of how we get every other qualification in life, needing to pass exams and being given that stamp of approval. It's a lot simpler for art. Instead of having qualifications, it's readily apparent when you know what you are doing. Because anyone can see how good you are visually. They don't need a checkbox to tell them you are good. So, the next time you see an artist, remember it's their level of skill that matters, not the time taken to achieve it. Of course, I'm not saying it's offensive to ask them how long they have been drawing for. Just be aware of why you are asking that question and how you are interpreting the answer. Part 4. I just need to watch those how to draw videos.
What the? How the? A perfect circle? Do it again. Show your process.
Well, first I draw this head, then I erased some of the more detailed features, and 1, 2, 3, a circle thing.
I define these videos as step-by-step tutorials, where you draw with the featured artist to reach a predetermined end result. Now, I've seen a lot of how to draw videos since the advent of public internet, and if you ever tried following them, you probably ended up with something that was close to the end result, but you felt it was kind of off. This is because most of them don't teach you how to actually draw. They are a series of instructions. From the video material alone, your understanding of the subject hasn't gotten better. It's the equivalent of watching a how to fight video and thinking you could knock out Conor McGregor right after.
Okay, so what you want to do is you want to wind up the punch and then release. You got it?
Alright, I'm ready. Holy shit, you killed him. Their popularity is in their simplicity, but that in turn skews public perception of great artists further into the it's just magic realm. Drawing is a lot more than simply throwing lines on a page. It's a combination of multiple subjects, composition, anatomy, understanding of form and light, etc. An experienced artist is exercising all of these skills at once seamlessly, hence why it appears almost like magic. I won't get into the details of all these things, as there are other channels like Psychra and Proco who already cover these mechanics, so check them out for more. I'm also not saying that how to draw videos have no value, just that they can be more misleading than informative for someone who just started learning. After learning some baseline mechanical skill from life study, you can absolutely use these videos to learn how another artist approaches a subject. An apt comparison would be how a musician writes better music after learning from other pieces, or how a dancer increases their move vocabulary by memorizing lots of different choreographies. An example of how to properly teach someone using the video format comes from Cynic's design. He makes his videos a lot more like a general guide and lets you get to your own solution. Just be wary. The bulk of information on the internet is both a blessing and a curse. You can easily become misinformed without realizing it. This is where getting a good teacher really helps. Personally, I like this guy called Will Terrell. He makes great people sketching videos talking about personal philosophy and approach to art, which I found really helpful when I started learning. I'll put a link to his page and all the other pages in the description below. Alright, to wrap things up, I deliberately stayed away from stuff like all artists are lazy, arrogant deadbeats, or art isn't a career, since I felt that as the years have gone by, the public has pretty much accepted creative things as a financially viable job. However, the link to an imaginary property like talent or prerequisite arbitrary amount of time continue to prevail. This was what I wanted to clear up. A lot of what I've said has overlap with other arts. You could easily replace any drawing reference with, say, a music one, anything that is a combination of both mechanical and mental skills. So hopefully it's inspired you to maybe pick up that instrument you always wanted to play, learn to dance, or just spend hours making a rant on the internet. So the next time someone says they can't learn so-and-so because they don't have talent, you can slap them in the face with this video. Maybe you agree with me, maybe you don't. Let me know in the comments below, and if you like what you've seen here and want to see more, please like and subscribe. Yours sincerely, Mr. Seriously, doesn't this guy look kinda like Logan Paul? Like, I know it's Achilles from Francois Benovo, but...
What is it you want, Barry? What do you want? You want the moon? Just say the word and I'll throw a lasso around it and pull it down.